What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. It's your host, Leon King TV, and we go right into it. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button. Whatever you do, hit that subscribe button. We're going to jump right into it. Um, I'm talking about Wrestlemania 39 fantasy booking. Wrestlemania 39 will be next year, 2023 in April. As a two-night event. That Saturday and that Sunday. And that Friday will most likely be the Hall of Fame induction. But I want to talk about, what's going on in the world of pro wrestling and talk some stuff, talk some shit, and we'll get right into it. So, the first match that kind of came to my mind, but it doesn't have to be in a specific order, which is something I want to bring up that I think will be good for the show. And it's not in order, but it's just a list of matches that I came up with for fantasy booking. I think will be good. The first thing I was kind of thinking was I made a group for night one, and then I made a list for night two. And I'm starting off with night one. John Cena versus Austin Theory. This match makes a lot of sense in a way. When you think about it, John Cena is a part-timer. Hasn't won a title probably since 2017, 2016. One of the all-time greats, but like the face of wrestling for the last almost 20 years. But when you think about one of the biggest names, he definitely pops up. You think about Austin Theory. A lot of people are saying Theory is like the new John Cena of this generation, this era, right now in WWE. I think that Austin Theory to me has similarity characteristics to a John Cena. I wouldn't say it's crazy to me to say he's another John Cena, but I think that he's kind of on that same list, or he's got similarities. To a Cena, but when you look at the way he debuted, you look at the way he can cut a promo, the way he can kind of hold himself in the ring, and the way he carries himself in the ring, and the way he kind of, the moves, the finishers, the signature, the physicality, everything from character and promo wise, and on the mic, when it comes to cutting a promo, gimmick wise, he's like another Cena. I think that this match makes sense. This is kind of a way where Cena comes back during WrestleMania season, surprises the fans, cuts a promo on Raw, and then we get Austin Theory coming out to the ring. And it's on from there. That was kind of one of the things I was thinking about, is like a John Cena, Austin Theory kind of storyline going on. One of the things I was also thinking, for the women's main event, night one, that Saturday, you get Sasha Banks, Raquel Gonzalez, and Ronda Rousey in a triple threat for the SmackDown Women's title. This is a very random match, but for me, it's like a dream match, especially when you're talking about fantasy booking, because you're thinking about two women who are in the tag team, one who's a former SmackDown Women's Champion in a solo run, and then you're thinking about two other women that are former NXT Women's Champions. I think that's a match that should happen. You take three women and you main event them that Saturday, night one, for SmackDown Women's title. It makes sense to me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan. Ronda Rousey does nothing to entertain me. She's a great athlete. She's great in MMA, but I said this before. Ronda Rousey to me is more of a MMA fighter than a professional wrestler. She knows MMA techniques. She's a former MMA women's champion. I mean, I don't follow UFC, but I guess it would mixed martial arts. She's a former MMA women's champion. She dominated in UFC women's division. You're in a whole different world now. You're in a whole different industry, and you're in the pro wrestling business. You're in WWE, and I think that even though you're a former SmackDown Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey in the ring to me does not have professional wrestling techniques. She doesn't. Sasha Banks has wrestling techniques. Raquel Rodriguez, she has wrestling techniques. These are women that are professional wrestlers. Ronda Rousey can kick ass, but guess what? Ronda Rousey does not have professional wrestling techniques. I don't see her diving off the top rope. I don't see her clotheslining somebody out of the ring. All I see Ronda doing is getting in the ring, putting somebody in the arm lock, and making them submit and tap out. It's MMA in the WWE ring. I don't want to see MMA techniques. I want to see wrestling techniques. And Ronda does not have that. So I was a little skeptical about that. The third match I was thinking of is Karrion Kross versus this person who, now that we got Braun Strowman back on Raw this past week, Monday, wouldn't it make so much sense that we get the Fiend back? If Bray Wyatt comes back with the Fiend gimmick, then obviously we're going to get Karrion Kross versus the Fiend at WrestleMania. Because we can keep Karrion Kross on SmackDown, move the Fiend over to Raw, because move the Fiend over to SmackDown on Friday nights. Because then you got Braun Strowman on Raw for Monday. So it makes sense to put the Fiend on SmackDown so we can get Karrion Kross versus the Fiend. This is random as hell. This is random as shit booking. But I think that if you get Karrion Kross versus the Fiend, this makes a lot of sense. What if, there's a lot of things that can play into when the Fiend comes back and when he faces Karrion, what kind of storyline you could do on SmackDown. Could the Fiend interrupt? Could the Fiend come back at Extreme Rules this month and distract Karrion from winning his title match against Roman? Because the Fiend wants the title that he lost back in 2020 against a returning Roman Reigns. They could rehash that storyline from a couple years ago and do it now on SmackDown and causing a feud between Karrion and Bray before Karrion gets to Roman for the undisputed titles. It just makes sense. But anyway, it could be a heel versus face match. The next match I was thinking of is Cody Rhodes and Edge. You're dealing with two of the biggest names in wrestling. One who was in his prime years ago, who's a Hall of Famer and a legend, a Grand Slam champion, a former WWE champion, a former World Heavyweight champion. And you're dealing with one of the biggest names in wrestling in the current generation of wrestling right now, Cody Rhodes, former AEW talent. So this match, they're both signed to the Raw brand. They're both on Monday nights. I think this is a match that needs to happen. It makes sense. I think that's one of the ones you got to do. We haven't seen Cody and Edge go one-on-one yet. So because of the athleticism that both bring, this could be a fantasy match that fans want to see, in my opinion. Judgment Day was one of the hardest ones to kind of bring up on the list because I felt with their faction, um, you got Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, and the new Dominic Mysterio turning heel, and now with Judgment Day. So now you got 4 members in Judgment Day, including Dominic. So this is kind of like interesting because I didn't know how you're going to book this match if Dominic is still with Judgment Day going into WrestleMania next year. But I think that, you know, what if we get Damian Priest versus Bobby Lashley for the U.S. Championship, and Damian Priest could take back the U.S. title that he had months ago? It makes sense to me. I just came up with that on the spot and didn't even write it down. Shit. So I think this is one of the matches that makes sense. You know, and then we'll probably get some 6-pack women challenge or some battle royal. That's not going to make that because they're not going to have room for a Shotzi Blackheart. They're not going to have room for an Aaliyah. They're not going to have room for a Tamina or a Natty or anyone else. They're not going to have room for it. So these little mid-card guys, these 24/7 title champions, they're going to throw them in a battle war or something like they do every year. So I wouldn't expect that. For night 2, one of the matches I was really thinking was you could start a faction because SmackDown, I think, currently has no women's factions. You know, Raw has Bayley's faction. Right now, I think you throw Charlotte Flair, Shayna Baszler, and you put them with, God, what was her name? Sonya Deville. You put Sonya Deville with Charlotte and Shayna, and you have a stable. You have a faction. And you throw them against 3 other women. You could add Shotzi, Aaliyah, and Natty, and they can put on a 6-woman tag. I don't care. I wouldn't care for the match, but I would care for that faction. You're dealing with 3 women, 3 heel women in the women's division right now that are very good on the mic and very entertaining heels and good in the ring. You got Charlotte, you got Sonya, you got Shayna. Triple threat. Next, I was thinking Omos versus Braun Strowman for night 2. The reason why I think you're going to get Omos and Braun Strowman because Omos was the giant when Braun is gone. Omos has been off TV lately. So he hasn't even been booked for a match in weeks. So therefore, Braun is signed with the company again. He signed a multi-year contract. This deal he signed with WWE. And where's Omos? Nowhere to be found. So I think that if you somehow do Omos versus Strowman at WrestleMania, you throw him in a steel cage or Hell in a Cell or whatever, that will work fine with me. It's not going to be the best match, but you'll be surprised. It won't be the most important match either, but why not see it? You know, giant versus giant. Just like when we saw Kane and Great Khali, Big Show and Great Khali. We could get Omos and Braun Strowman, the new generation of giants. You know, for the women, we got the Raw Women's title, so you can't leave that out. I'm assuming that Bianca Belair will still go into WrestleMania 39 with the Raw strap, women's strap, and therefore she can take on Alexa Bliss with the old gimmick she had. I think that I understand why it failed and why they had to take it off, but I think that if you bring Alexa Bliss's evil gimmick back, you could probably do something creative, and she could turn on Bianca, and they could work a program going into Mania for the Raw title. So Bianca versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title makes a lot of sense for night 2. That's more of a night 2 match. It's not something I want to see on the first night, but it's something I want to see on the second night, that Sunday. So it makes more sense with the Firefly Funhouse gimmick, or whatever you want to call it. Alexa and Bianca for the Raw Women's title, perfect. Um, this match is going to make a lot of sense to me, but you break up the Street Profits, you turn Angelo Dawkins heel, and you make him turn on Montez Ford. We get Angelo Dawkins versus Montez Ford at Mania 39 next year. That's going to be hell of a match. If Angelo Dawkins is heel and Montez is babyface, it's going to work out great. So Street Profits feuding that's a match. You're dealing with guys that are athletically talented on the same level. They can high fly, they can jump off the top rope, they can dive, they can put somebody through a table, they can do all that shit. The dudes are athletic. They're like NBA players almost in the WWE ring. So it works good. Next, you got to think about the main event. Roman versus The Rock. I'm not big. We got to get these old times back. We got to get these part-time, veterans to make things good again. I don't need to see Goldberg pop up. I don't need to see Brock Lesnar pop up. I don't even want to retire Undertaker popping up. So what makes you think I want to see a 50-some-year-old Dwayne Johnson pop up? It's a good match. It's one of the biggest dream matches that we talked about for the past decade now, since Roman was pushed as a main eventer. So I think that Roman versus Rock, I would like to see it, but I don't have to at the same time. It's a match that I would love to see. I think it would get over with the fans. Everybody in Los Angeles at Mania next year will love it at that arena. You're going to see a packed out arena for that match because that's the match that everyone bought a ticket to go see. So, I'm over the shit. I'm over to see fucking Rock and fucking Roman going at it. A veteran, someone who should be in the fucking Hall of Fame, go for an undisputed title. It makes no sense to me. You could have Solo Sikoa turn on the bloodline. A match with Roman for the undisputed straps. It makes sense right there. But the big rumor was Cody versus Roman. I could see that. That's a good match. You could throw fucking Logan Paul in there, fucking Bad Bunny in there. I don't give a shit because the reality is, if you could put someone who's damn good at wrestling against Roman, it's gonna be a good match. And to me, you could throw anybody in that room, in that main event. Whether you put a Cody Rhodes in there, whether you get a return Randy Orton, who's injured by the bloodline, coming back to get his hands for the undisputed titles against Roman, that makes a lot of sense. But to see a legend come back to face Roman, I don't know. I really don't know. It's something that I could talk. I won't have time tonight, but I feel like that's one of the things that's just weird to me is we have to grab these veterans to make things good again. I never want to see Triple get in the ring again, even though we never got Trips versus AJ Styles. I never have to see that match again. I never have to see that match. But I'm a little over, like we got to get Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens at Mania this year. I don't need to see it no more. I don't even need to see a 77-year-old Vince McMahon wrestling. I don't even need to see that shit. But if I'm going to watch a WrestleMania, I'm going to buy a ticket, or I'm going to sit in my living room and watch Mania 39 next year. It's got to be one of the best main events ever. Because hell, the main event at Mania this year, shit was lackluster. That match against Lesnar was lackluster. SummerSlam match, great, bigger and better than the one at Mania, I thought. But man, this Mania 38 was just, like I said, you gotta see the positives to what they could do